You ever do that thing where you think you're ready and then all of a sudden you remember, where's my glasses? Do you wear reading glasses or I don't know which is more inconvenient, reading glasses or just your regular glasses that you have to wear all the time? I think reading glasses, because how many pair? I've got a bunch of these and I can still never find my glasses, right? Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. Pardon me, as always, I'm your host, David Burrows. Happy Monday. I'm not sure if you were watching earlier, but of course we were broadcasting with our friend Stephen Healy from United Kingdom. We do our broadcasting to your community, and we hadn't been on together in a couple of weeks due to Labor Day last weekend, of course, and then the week before that, Stephen had a holiday in the United Kingdom, so we took a couple of weeks off. So therefore today, and it was probably really painful for some people, but I had 2 weeks of bad dad jokes to go through. So if you want to watch that, you can click on the link up in the comments on the Facebook page. We had a lot of fun. It was nice to get back together with Stephen. And we did talk a little bit about COVID, of course. That's probably the most popular topic in the world right now. It comes up every day in our lives. The Premier of Ontario, of course, with the health officers earlier today, we were broadcasting that live as well. That's also on our Facebook page. Of course, we've seen the numbers rising, right? So I get emails and I get a lot of Facebook messages all the time, which I welcome. Happy to hear from you. Share your positive opinions and your thoughts on things. But I get asked all the time what I think about these numbers. And I'm like, I'm not qualified to answer that question. What do I think about the situation? Well, here it is. I think that maybe we get a little relaxed. And, you know, with everything that's been going on, when we started with all of this, when was it? March 11th, I think, was the big announcement. And then everything officially on St. Paddy's Day was closed down. Whatever. I can't remember the numbers. But I think after a while, we got kind of more relaxed with it all. And, you know, some people wear the mask. Some people don't wear the mask. I don't want to get into that debate. They're saying we need to wear the mask, so wear the mask. And, you know, to get up from your restaurant table and go to the washroom, I see some people wear the mask. Some people don't, even though you're supposed to. So I think it's just those tiny little things that maybe we're getting a little too relaxed. Coronavirus is still here, folks. Hasn't gone away. We're just learning how to deal with it, right? So that's my thought on it. Anyway, if they tell us to wear the mask, I mean, we use the example, who was I talking to a friend of mine the other day, and we were talking about seatbelts way back in the day when they started telling everybody it's now a law and you must wear your seatbelt. Lots of people didn't like wearing your seatbelt. Wear your seatbelt anyway. It's the law, right? So I don't think they wake up and say, well, let's see what we can throw at everybody today, right? So wearing a mask, I was not thrilled about wearing a mask. I'm sure some people are more comfortable with it than others. I wasn't, but I wear my mask. Speaking of which, there, see how I did that? I led into it. I thought I might as well be like everybody else and get their brand on a mask. So I got my mask going here. Not that I got to wear it in the studio, but there you go. What do you think? Thought I would model that off for you today. I got a few of these today. So, and I might give a couple away, right? You never know. So thanks for being here, everybody. So there you go. Wear the masks, follow the guidelines. I think if we don't, then, you know, we're going to end up back to a stage 2, and nobody wants that, right? You don't want that. I don't want that. So let's try to avoid that, and I'll do our part. There you go. I had a bunch of messages asking me what I thought about it. That's what I think. Follow the guidelines. We should be okay. As always, I'd like to direct everybody to lambtonpublichealth.ca, where you can get the accurate numbers and information, at least for Sarnia Lambton. And we do broadcast the Premier of Ontario broadcasts here on our Facebook. Happy to bring that to you on behalf of the Premier's office Monday to Friday. And there's lots of great information there. So we'll invite you to that. And Sarnia.ca, the city of Sarnia has done a great job of keeping things updated. They've got a page on their website specifically for COVID. There's phone numbers if you've got questions, links, and what's happening. There was a council meeting earlier today. So if you want to check that out, that's also on the City of Sarnia Facebook page. And it'll be on Sarnia.ca as well. Lots going on, considering with COVID-19. There's still quite a few events happening around town, which is great. Social distancing and following guidelines. There's Carl. We'll say hello to Carl. He says, I didn't like the idea of wearing a mask I'm wearing a mask now. Good for you, Carl. It was great to see you a few weeks ago out at the Western Ontario Outlaws races. I do my best to be safe, and Carl joins us from Oshawa, right? So thanks for being here. But lots of things happening, lots of events, some openings. We don't want to see things, like I said, going back into stage 2. So let's be safe out there. And one of the things that did happen was Oswald's Diner had their, here we go. They had their annual show, and it was a show and ride. It's normally a show and shine, and this was their 4th annual show and ride. They had it, of course, starting out at Oswald's. They had some trophy prizes, and they did a 110-kilometer ride, and over 100 bikes. I don't have the exact number. Was there, and everybody was social distancing and behaving themselves. And they raised, I was talking to Karen earlier from Oswald. She didn't have an exact number, but over $3,000 for the Sarnia Special Olympics. So congratulations to everybody who was involved with that. I know there were a lot of members of the Lady Luck who were there supporting, and just motorcycle enthusiasts in general. I was not able to be there. I was kind of sad, but you got to work. I was out of town in Woodstock, actually, doing the Ontario Moose Association, doing a live stream for them. But I know I would have enjoyed this. So I know Oswald's is very grateful for everybody who came out, and Sarnia Special Olympics will be certainly grateful for over $3,000 being raised. Karen said she will reach out to me and give me an exact number, but wow, over $3,000. Not half bad there at all. So way to go, Oswald's, and everybody who was a part of that. And as I mentioned, the Lady Luck Motorcycle Club, it was like a motorcycle weekend. The one weekend I had to go away, there was motorcycles everywhere. And the Lady Luck was having their 38th annual, I believe their 38th annual toy run. This year they did for the St. Clair Child and Youth Services. Lots of bikes showed up, and they raised over $4,000 for St. Clair Child and Youth. And all these toys, unwrapped toys that are going to go to children in our community, and they'll be donated to different groups in our community. So way to go, motorcycle enthusiasts. Very proud of everybody for participating in that, and still being able to get out and support community organizations who need the support in this. I hate saying it because it's been said every day, but that unprecedented time. We got to come up with a new word. Maybe I should thesaurus that and come up with a new word besides unprecedented. But it's just nice to see. And we've been seeing this so much from so many different people in our community and so many different organizations who are adapting to the times. Actually, something I saw the other day, you can go to the City of Sarnia Facebook page or their website, and they're using the hashtag Lambton Strong, and they're looking for stories in the community. Do you know someone who has done something during the pandemic to help support the community? And we've seen a bunch of stories up there. Of course, the Sarnia, supporting Sarnia businesses during COVID-19 has been very popular. Over 10,000 members in there. We're seeing with the quarantine music sessions, we're seeing lots of music there. So a lot of great things happening to keep everybody feeling good as much as we can, and being positive in a time I know I never expected to see anything either. So there's lots going out there. So if you know someone or an organization who's done something during the pandemic to show positive here in Sarnia Lambton during the pandemic, head on over to their Facebook page, and there's just a quick nomination form, I guess. You can type in that person or organization's name and tell the story and why you think their story should be told and shared on the City of Sarnia Facebook page. All right. Speaking of which, it's just got a lot to do with motors, I guess, of course. Sunday, September the 20th, coming up, we'll be back at the Western Ontario Outlaws Extreme Lawn Tractor Racing. Going to be back there again, live streaming that. But I got to tell you, if you haven't been to it in person, happy to have you watch the live stream. It's only $10 per car load. So load up the car. Don't put 20 people in one car like we did when I was in high school, but load up the car at $10 per car. Come on in there and enjoy the Western Ontario Outlaws Extreme Lawn Tractor Racing. Very exciting and great to be able to go out to Petrolia. It's just, about a 20-minute drive from here, and it's family friendly. And of course, social distancing and guidelines in place, but been very fortunate to have great weather for every race. Haven't had to cancel any races this year. What a beautiful summer it's been, considering, right? Of course, if you missed it, Jason and myself, my son Jason, took on Colin and Gary Vandenheuvel from Preferred Towing, and of course, they're stars of Heavy Rescue 401. And there was a little misfortune there for Gary and Colin. They're accusing my son of foul play, but I'm not sure. we did find some pliers in my hand, and Jason. Anyway, we won. I'm just saying, or Jason won. I won, sort of. Anyway, we're going to be having a rematch next year. So come on out and check out what it's all about there at the Western Ontario Outlaws. Carl was there, made the trip all the way down from Oshawa to come say hello to our friends at Preferred Towing and my son and Jason as well. It was nice to meet you in person, Carl. So we'll look forward to having you back again for sure. All right. Well, a lot of things adapting, as I said, and a little while back we were talking to our friends from the Lambton County Libraries, and now they've got some updates for us as well. And Darlene Coke has been able to stop by and join us. Thanks for being here, Darlene.
Thanks so much for having me, Dave. It's good to see you again.
Yes. Well, and it is good to see, when you say nice to see you again, that has a whole new meaning to it now, right?
Yes. Zoom meetings and these kind of online chats are becoming much more the norm now.
Yeah, for sure. Well, when we talked a few months ago, I know that there was a lot of changes, like everybody's having the changes going on. Let's kind of go back to that for a moment, and then with maybe the curbside pickup and how that affected everything, and then bring us up to what's coming next.
Okay, so back in June, when we had the green light to go ahead with the first phase of the province's reopening, Lambton County Library started contactless curbside pickup. So that's been running since, I believe, about June 8th at 14 locations through Lambton County. So with contactless curbside pickup, we ask people to make their reservations online or to call a reader's advisory number, have the library staff choose the materials for them, and then our library staff will call people to tell them when the items are available for pickup. They slide by the library into designated parking spots and pick up those materials and go on their way. So that's been a great service that we've adjusted to quite quickly on the fly. And we've been doing that now since June. So we've become a lot more accustomed to that new model of service delivery.
Right. How did the just before you go on, I'm curious, how did the public take to all of that? Did they use the services?
Yeah, certainly our numbers aren't close to what they were pre-COVID with people coming into the library. So we have seen our usage decrease with it just being curbside. That being said, we've had so many people reach out to us on our social media channels, thanking us for being back and being a little piece of normalcy, and that they can pick up some books or DVDs for recreation or for information this past summer. So while our numbers are down a bit, certainly each of the 14 sites have had lots of activity, some spots busier than others, but we tried to ensure that we had representation or a library offering service in each of the municipalities within Lambton County.
Well, that's great to see that those services are still available for us card-carrying members, and that people, because I think I know you're really important service, right? And a lot of people really rely on our libraries, if for anything else, simply entertainment.
That's right. And when you think a lot of the communities, a library sometimes is the last community center that might be left in some of our more smaller rural areas where over years perhaps schools or churches or community halls that once may have been there may have been closed. So we do have a wide reach throughout the entire county and have lots of opportunities there for recreation, whether that's people like to, you can borrow books. So whether people like to read or whether they like to watch movies, you can borrow movies. You can borrow even video games. So lots of things to explore within the county.
Well, that's fantastic. We'll have to keep spreading the word and get more people to know about these services. Because I still think a lot of times, I know I learn something new every time I talk to you folks from the library. And it's like, oh, I didn't know that was available. And we need to get some more card carrying members out there to be a part of the library.
Yeah, so the newest thing you can do with your card is starting with stages 2 and 3 with the province's framework for reopening with COVID. If you have a valid library card, we are welcoming people back into certain libraries by appointment only for scheduled appointments so that they can access computer use, or they can bring their own device and use our free Wi-Fi, or they can use our space for academic study or research that they need to do in library. So we're not yet fully open for browsing of library materials. We're asking people who wish to look at our collection or borrow items from our collection use curbside service for that. But for booking appointments for computer use and bringing your own device to access Wi-Fi, we now have 14 locations throughout Lambton County that you can do that.
Well, that's fantastic. Now, that had to take a lot of planning and decision making, and certainly following the government guidelines. How was that process going through and coming to the point that you're at now that you're ready to welcome these appointments?
Well, it was a site-by-site determination. So we had to look at each individual library, and we had to take a look at in terms of the physical space within the library, how it's set up. We have to also quarantine materials that are returned to us for a certain period of time. So our libraries are operating and looking and feeling a little bit different these days than what they were pre-COVID. So there are a lot of considerations we had to take into account when we were deciding which libraries could open or which ones may have to remain closed. Also, staffing is a bit more intensive with COVID in that we're running curbside service, but we also need people available or staff available inside to handle the incoming calls and placing the reservations. So at any rate, it was a lot of considerations to ensure that we had proper decals outside on the floor for people to line up outside, where we had decals inside to indicate the traffic flow patterns that we would like for people to use. We had to physically space out some of our computer workstations, which in a pre-COVID world, we didn't necessarily think too much about people being side by side and have had to take a look at those and respace them. So lots of considerations at each individual library before making a determination of which one we would open.
Yeah, and I guess you'd have to put yourself in the position of those using the services, and how would I feel? I had my first grocery store experience with my wife the other day, and it was like if you went down the wrong way, you felt like you're going the wrong way on a one-way street or something, right? Yeah. So I imagine instructions have to be very clear.
Yes, and we've developed a few more temporary rules for our visitors in this time period as well. We are requesting that everyone wear masks to the libraries when they come and visit. We're asking everyone to self-monitor before they make those appointments to come and use the computers. We're asking them to self-monitor for symptoms, and if they are feeling unwell or if they have been with someone who has been diagnosed with COVID-19 in the last 14 days, to delay their visit. We're asking people to, at this time, not bring food or drink into the library. So we're not permitting food and drink at this time. And we're asking people really to limit their traffic patterns within the library, and we're asking them to limit their social time within the library to just to be in there to do what they need to do and to go. Over the years, our libraries have really become social hubs, and there's always lots of visiting taking place. A lot of people still think of libraries as quiet buildings, and that's not always the case anymore. So we are asking people just to ensure that they are maintaining their physical and social distance while they're in our spaces.
So we're going to have to put off the, hey, let's go hang out together at the library for now. But if you need the resources, that's cool. You can go do that.
Yeah, they can certainly book appointments, and they can do that by calling 519-337-3291, extension 5900. A toll-free number is 1-866-324-6912, extension 5900, or they can book appointments online at LCLibrary.ca.
Perfect. We'll make sure we post those phone numbers after as well on our Facebook. What about feedback from the community? Like I say, you have a lot of regular members of using library services. I'm sure there's regulars to that. And then there's the occasionals. But were you getting feedback from the public on what they would like to see with all of this? Or did you reach out to the public and say, what do you think? Or what about that?
A few things. The province issued some guidance documents for us. So there are certain things that we can and cannot do just based on the provincial guidance. So as much as we would love to operate normally, we just aren't in the position that we can do that at this point in time. So we did have some guidance in terms of what we can and what we can't do. Certainly, we did get lots of public feedback while we were closed, with people asking when we would be open. So we knew that people were anxious to get back into our space. We did have curbside off working at the time, but people were still keen to get inside and to reacquaint themselves with our services. At this point in time, we've only been open for appointments starting last week. It was the week of September 8th that we've opened for appointments. So we haven't received a lot of feedback just yet on that aspect of the service. But moving forward and in the months ahead, we've still got more services to bring online, and we'll be thinking about how we bring back more of those services into our libraries.
Right. Now, continuing on from COVID-19, I dare I say when we get back to normal, whatever that looks like, right? Do you see the library services maybe continuing? There's a lot of virtual going on right now. Obviously, we're doing this interview that way and Zoom meetings and everything. Do you see some of these virtual things staying in place at the libraries, even post-COVID, right?
I'll be very interested to see the long-term impacts of COVID on a lot of the services throughout the community, not just library services. But I think COVID has really changed the way that we think about accessing all kinds of different services. For me, myself, and just speaking personally, for years and years, I was not a fan of electronic books. I liked paper book. I liked to put my bookmark in the book.
Yeah.
And I always said, I'm not going to read a book on a screen. I spend enough time on a screen. And a couple of years ago, it got to a point where I can't remember if I was waiting on a wait list and it was quicker to get the ebook and I really, really wanted to read it. So I just read the one ebook, and it was so convenient for me to have a book on my device that I carry with me all the time. I just loved the convenience so much that overnight I became a real ebook lover, and I'm constantly in our e-library apps and constantly using them and downloading new ebooks. So for many people who resisted electronic books, while we were closed, electronic books were about the only way that they could access new titles or different titles to read. So I am curious. We had the biggest usage we'd ever had in the history since when we had started offering electronic books.
Oh, wow.
So we have a lot of people that had not ever used electronic books before that were exposed to that service. And I'm quite intrigued. Some people, of course, will still always love going back to paper books or to real books. I expect that. But I am curious for those people that have been introduced for the convenience factor of electronic books, or they've been introduced to the conveniences of logging into their account online and making their own reservations. It is quite an easy process once you've done it a few times, and it is convenient when we've got busy lives as well. So I'm curious for some of those people that have tried those services for the first time, whether maybe they might have that taste for the convenience, and we might see that going forward that they have a preference with more electronic services. It will be interesting to see.
Yeah. Well, and I guess that factor will decide on whether you grow that part of those services, as time goes on. Like you say, paperless, I don't know. A book's a book. I got a bookshelf over here, and there's just something about holding on to that book, like you say. That being said, we do live, and you touched on it very well, a convenience society. Like I can order my coffee right now and go drive in and pull it up, or my McDonald's or whatever, right? So we're learning all of that, but and audiobooks as well, like not just ebooks to read, maybe on your Kindle there, but audiobooks I would say are probably pretty popular, more than they were as well, especially with we're driving in our cars or we're walking, right?
Yeah, and a lot of vehicles today have the smart technology built right into them. So you can listen to an audiobook through your the app that's downloaded on your phone, as long as you have your phone synced with your vehicle. So for people that are driving cars and trucks that are only a couple of years old that have that kind of sync technology in there, it is relatively easy to download and to listen to an audiobook these days.
Yeah. We're seeing, of course, now with back to school and however, I don't have young children, so I don't have to go through that experience, thank goodness, but there are many that do. Is that need for the library services still going to, I imagine that need increases back to school time for the library. Is that need still going to be there, or is there more online resources available to the students? How does that look like for the libraries?
Yeah, there's a few different pieces there, Dave. So for contactless curbside pickup, we had 2 locations that we expanded in September, and those were locations that were libraries that are located inside elementary schools. So
Mm.
Grand Bend and Brigden now have contactless curbside pickup located at those 2 locations, and they now also will have appointments as well. So that's one piece where we'll be providing services to the school and student community that we serve there in Brigden and Grand Bend. We also, for the appointments, in addition to booking appointments for computer use, we also have appointments available for academic study or research. So if any children are working on some school assignments, they are welcome to book an appointment and to attend with a parent, depending on their age, and can come into the library for that appointment and have some time for academic study. I should note, though, that we're only limiting appointments to 1 appointment per day and a 45-minute appointment in duration at this point in time.
Okay, right. So there's time limits on that, which makes sense, right?
Mhm.
What about the security in all of this? Are there, I mean, you wouldn't, to think that you would need security at a library, but is everybody going to cooperate, or have been cooperating since you've started these appointments? Is everybody following the guidelines that you've set out and said, okay, now it's time, your 45 minutes is up, time to go? Or how's that been working?
To date, I haven't heard of any issues that we've run into any difficulties. Certainly, I can't see it being too different than a lot of other stores or other retail establishments that have had to put time limits on things, or I've found myself having to wait in lines while a location can only serve so many people at a time. So it's something that I think as a society we've quickly become accustomed to with COVID, is that business is just a little bit different these days when we go to do our shopping or anything like that. So I would hope that people will continue to be kind and patient, and that we are kind of all in it together and we're trying our
Yeah,
best. And I'm hopeful that we won't run into those difficulties. And I haven't heard that we have just as of yet.
that's good. What about the staff in all of this? First of all, are you at full staff capacity? And what about training for staff to prepare for all of this?
Mhm. So at this point, even though we don't have all of our locations open, we do have the majority of our workforce back working, because it does take extra people running a curbside service and an
Yeah,
appointment service with COVID. We have not, however, opened our downtown Sarnia location, just because our building owner there, which is the city of Sarnia, is undertaking an HVAC replacement renovation project, and there are a lot of contractors on site. There's a lot of heavy equipment that is on site. There are also times when electricity needs to be shut off and on, and all of those kinds of things. So it's quite disruptive. So we do not have the full staff complement working at Sarnia Downtown Library just until that renovation project finishes up in a little bit this fall. So as for the staff, you are right that it requires so much training. We have been using technology, because in pre-COVID days, we didn't think twice also about bringing people together in large groups to unroll the training all at once, so that everybody was in the room at the same time, heard the same
yeah.
message, could benefit from the questions and answers. And of course, with COVID, we're wanting to avoid large crowds. So we have pursued online training and are asking staff before they start work. We are requiring them to participate in a few different training sessions about all of the new protocols that we've implemented because of COVID, and a lot of changes in the way that we do business. So reviewing those new procedures and how the new landscape looks in the library with COVID.
Right. A lot of learning going on.
There is. They say you learn forever, right? Lifetime learning, and that
That's right.
really applies right now.
Has it obviously it was pretty stressful in the beginning, and again I come back to staff, I'm sure, and leadership. Has the stress gone down a little bit, or is it still all there?
I think that as human beings, every time we have to do something new or different, I think just as humans, we get a little bit anxious about that.
Yeah.
So when Curbside started, that was new and that was different. So I think the stress levels were probably kind of high at that point because, we're doing something different than the way that we've always done it, and it's just normal to be apprehensive about that. We got going with Curbside, and I think we were comfortable and we gained some experience with that, and we were kind of at a steady. And then last week, we've started something new again. So I think, again, it's just natural that we all just are a little bit anxious because it is new. We want to see how it goes. We want to see what kind of wrinkles we might need to iron out. And then I anticipate that as we go forward and we continue offering appointments and a few weeks goes by and it becomes our new normal and we get used to it. So I think we'll continue to see those ups and downs just as changes inevitably happen with this pandemic, which has been a very dynamic situation and changes without much warning sometimes and is out of most of our control.
Yeah. Well, there's certainly going to be a new history book added to the history section at the libraries called Pandemic 101 or whatever that looks like, right? So, Darlene, thank you so much for stopping by here today, and thanks for all of you and your staff's efforts. Is there any final thoughts or points you want to put out there before I let you go?
I would just say for anyone who doesn't have a library card, I encourage you to give us a phone call at 519-845-3324, extension 5266. We'd be happy to hook you up with a library card so that you can access contactless curbside pickup or any of our appointments for computer use, Wi-Fi use, or academic space or research in library.
Awesome. Darlene, thank you so much again. You enjoy the rest of your day and come back anytime and give us an update.
Thanks, Dave. We'll take you up on that invitation. Thanks so much.
Bye for now. Darlene Coke from the Lambton County Libraries. A lot of work, a lot of effort going on there to keep the libraries going during the pandemic, as you heard Darlene talking about. And then now coming up, sort of, we're getting there. Let's show you all the, here's a list, and we'll have this posted on our Facebook page. You can go to LCLibrary.ca, and this will be posted there as well. Also, the LC Library on Facebook. They keep their Facebook and their website updated regularly, so all the information about where you can go and what times and how to make the appointments. And again, they're making the contactless curbside pickup is still available, and scheduled appointments for public use, Wi-Fi use, and academic study and research. And if you don't know what that means, give them a call. We'll post all the phone numbers after as well. Thanks again, Darlene. Appreciate you being here. All right. Well, let me see where I was. I can hear I'm self-producing. Yeah, there we go. The Sarnia Lambton Rebound, of course, like many other organizations here in town, have been looking to continue. How do we raise money during all of this? And I wanted to have kind of share this information about an online 50-50 raffle for Sarnia Lambton Rebound. And all the money raised, of course, is here to benefit the youth in our community. Supporting Rebound's monthly 50-50 draws, you'll be supporting their general youth programming. They've got a lot of great services, and the services still go on even during a pandemic. So the services are still needed. And again, another creative way for Rebound to do what they have to do to raise money. And joining me right now, there she is,
Hey
Anita
there.
Minielly.
Hi, Dave.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks again for having me on. This is exciting. This is cool. Thanks.
Anytime, you're welcome here. We always have good chats, and it's always a positive one. I was just going through what we were going to talk about here with this 50-50 raffle for Sarnia Lambton Rebound. Share the details on this and tell everybody how they can participate.
Well, the cool thing is the Lotto Factory is doing this on our behalf. So all we have to do is promote it. They take care of all of the back end and all of the hard stuff, really, of collecting the money, distributing all the ticket numbers and that. So it's something new for Rebound, and it's our first time actually fundraising in September because of the pandemic. The United Way has been kind enough. They've waived the blackout period for us for this fall because typically we wouldn't have been able to fundraise. So we're going to give it a go, and because we still need funds coming in, it's just I love how creative everybody's getting. It's neat to see, but it's definitely tough. So it's easy. They just go online, buy tickets, and then the first draw is September the 30th. And we're offering a guaranteed minimum prize board of $1,000.
Oh, wow.
Who couldn't use $1,000, right?
Right.
So.
Well, I'm just, and we want to share that here with everybody. I want to make sure I got this right. This is the website, and you said the Lotto Factory. What is the Lotto Factory?
Well, the Lotto Factory is located on the East Coast, and they run a variety, like 50-50s. We're doing the classic 50-50, which is where it's a one pot, and it's then in October, because we're hoping to do this on a monthly basis. And the draw would be on the last day of each month. So there'll be subsequent draws. But they also run progressive 50-50s. They're looking at doing Chase the Ace. So they are, as I say, they're operating everything. They've taken all of the work out of it for us and just said, you know what, we'll run it. And all you have to do is promote it to your community and your people there. So
sounds like a no-brainer to me.
Well, that's what we thought. And although, everybody's taking everything online, so it's not going to be without its challenges and the competition. But Sarnia Lambton, as you know, it's such a generous and supportive community that we're really hoping that, people can sit in their pajamas and do this. So
right?
Yeah, it's easy.
Get comfy, right? Lose the tie, right? It's interesting, talking with Darlene Coke from Lambton County there, all this adaptation. And I probably say it every week on the show, all the creativity that we've seen out there. Coming, and I asked this question to Darlene, coming out of COVID-19 or post-COVID, whatever that looks like, do you see this kind of thing, like 50-50 draws online, fundraisers online, even if we can still gather together in a big room together eventually? Do you still see some of this online fundraising happening for organizations like Rebound?
I think so, especially if it's, it's very little work and it's easy enough to do. And you've got, people love to throw $10, $20, whatever, at a 50-50, right? With the opportunity to do that. Although I've talked to a number of people over since summer, since COVID, and everybody's been kind of on lockdown, they miss that gala, that environment and going out and being able to socialize and dress up. So once we are able to get back and do that and be in a room with more than 50 people, that's going to be, people have missed it so much. So I think they're going to embrace it even more.
Yeah. Who's going to have the biggest party?
Yeah, no kidding. We were talking about that at our staff meeting today. It's like, well, we can't do our Christmas party probably. So we're going to have a big party once this is all over, just as staff to be able to, hug and be close to somebody without having to wear a mask.
Yeah. I wonder what Santa Claus is going to look like this year, right?
Yeah. No kidding, right? Won't be able to have kids on his knee because... unless he's wearing a mask.
Even with that, with Halloween coming up, there's all these discussions and debates happening on social media. Should we, shouldn't we? I'm going to do it anyway, all that sort of stuff. But that kind of comes to my next point in all of this. When pandemic showed up, there's still youth in our community that still need support. It doesn't go, oh, okay, we'll wait. Right?
No.
All that adaptation had to happen, right?
It has. And if anything, it's probably gotten worse because then you've taken so we have programs where youth would come and feel comfortable being themselves among their peers or have one-on-ones with their program coordinators. And so now that you've taken that face-to-face away and they're being forced to do it online, through text or through Zoom, it's just easier to kind of hide behind a screen. And so there are going to be, I think, those mental health issues and communication challenges that people have because of COVID, for sure. So our funding, typically we need to raise between $350,000 and $400,000 every year just to operate the 21 different programs that we have. And so our fundraising need is still there. We're, of course, gauging it once we get how long it's going to take to get the programs back up and running. Once the schools get back in and they kind of get settled and they get into a routine. we'll see, maybe it's October, maybe it's November before we can actually have students back in our building.
Yeah. Well, Rebound has certainly done a great job of adapting to all of this, and kudos to you. And I know there's a whole team there that, and I've said it before about a lot of organizations actually in Sarnia. The team at Rebound, it's not just a job to anybody there. I mean, these are your careers, but this is a sincere passion for what you do and the youth in the community. So much so that I've got something else here. The R Lounge Zoom schedule, right? So how to talk about this and how this is going to work.
So the R Lounge is for 12 to 15-year-olds, and our program coordinator, Sammy, she has set this up, and all of the program coordinators have done such a good job at keeping in touch with the youth, reaching out to them, either having one-on-ones or doing these Zoom. And it's just another platform to keep the youth connected. And TikTok, you see that there. The youth
That's
are so
awesome.
into the TikToks. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I like to look at them, but yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Most youth love to be online. So I don't know. I think it's going to be fun. I like how they're always kind of thinking outside of the box and trying to adapt to the situation that we're in. So
I think aside from the students going to enjoy this, I think Sammy and Caitlin are going to have a lot of fun with this too.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I love the creativity. That's great. So they love to keep the youth engaged, and they're young themselves that'll definitely be a fun time.
So are we going to I wonder, will we maybe eventually see an Anita Minielly dance on TikTok?
No. Definitely not.
Not going to learn how to, what's the floss or whatever that is, or
the Macarena. They were talking about that today on the radio.
Right.
Of all of
What's
these
that?
old dances.
What's the Macarena? At least they know who Bob Ross is. That's a good thing.
Yeah, right. That's funny.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say just the creativity, keeping in touch, and to echo what you just said not long ago is they love their jobs. They're so connected with the youth, and they just try to make every session or every week just a little bit interesting and engaging the youth. Like, they ask them for their input as well. It's not always just what they want to do. So.
Well, we talked about that before, a few months ago, and it was all like, do you reach out, and has the youth given you some ideas, and why wouldn't they want to? The services that they're using and what they want to see and what they need for them, right? So, absolutely. I think it's fantastic that Rebound has been able to keep things moving along as best they can to continue the support that's needed in our community for the youth.
Thanks. We're trying. But it's definitely a team effort here for sure. So
100%.
But we're having fun.
Yeah. Well, you're always smiling. That's why I like having you here. It's like, okay, here comes the smiling Anita.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's good. That's good. I appreciate you being here, and we'll post all this information at the end of the show here today. But is there anything else you want to throw out there to everybody?
Thank you. Just one last plug. So for the 50/50, if they go online, and because we're not selling the hard tickets anymore, right? Everything's online. So it's you don't even need the www. It's just rebound.thelottofactory.com. And tickets are 1 for $5, 3 for $12, 5 for $15, or the best one, 25 for $50. And it'll be an automatic number generator that picks the number at 7:00 on September the 30th. And you can buy tickets right up until literally the minute before. So,
yeah. And it's actually, you said a minimum $1,000, but it can go bigger. It's over that right now. I think it's around 14 or 17.
17. Yeah. Just over 17, almost 18. So, so we're hoping it's only the middle of the month. So we're really hoping that over the next couple weeks, we can get some more numbers to push that up higher.
Awesome. Well, I know I'll be running over there at the end of the show. I got to buy my tickets because I want some cash.
Awesome. That sounds great. Well, thank you so much for this opportunity, Dave. It's always a pleasure to be on.
Welcome you and anybody from Rebound back here anytime, as long as they bring a smile like yours.
Oh, thanks. Thank you. You know what? I'll maybe Sammy and Caitlin should be on to talk about the TikTok and the.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Happy to have them on. Thanks,
Awesome.
Anita. Always good to see you.
Thanks. Take care. Bye.
Anita Minielly. She's always smiling. She's a lot of fun. And the creativity that they're having down at Rebound with Anita and Sammy and Caitlin and the whole team down there. I've gotten to know a lot of them very well over the years. And a fantastic youth facility, if you will, to support the youth in our community here in Sarnia Lambton. And, you know, it's adapting to all of this, right? And I don't know why I'm stuttering with it. It's just I get excited to see this kind of stuff happening in our community because it's really important. And you can show your support simply by going online, as Anita mentioned there, to rebound.thelottofactory.com to purchase your raffle tickets. The draw will be on September the 30th. Already just over $1,700. So imagine what's going to be like. Don't wait. Go buy those tickets now, and let's get the pot up a little higher and support Sarnia Lambton Rebound. All right. Well, just before we go, of course, speaking of support, I want to say thanks again to our friends at Oswald's Diner, our motorcycle sponsor here on the show with David Burrows. Watch for the motorcycles. They're still out there. Drive aware, ride aware, and be aware, all that stuff. And that goes both ways. The folks on the two wheels got to keep out for the four wheels, and the four wheels got to watch for the two. We got to work together and keep everybody safe on the roads out there. And congratulations one more time to Oswald's Diner on raising over $3,000 for their 4th annual show and ride, 110-kilometer ride, and that money going to the Sarnia Special Olympics. Congratulations, Oswald's. And a whole slew of supporters here that allow me to keep the show going so that I can bring this content to all of you. Thank you, Huron Signs SWO, also AG Event Graphics, Active Ears, Hughes Intelligence, Joe's Discount, Oswald's, of course, Philly Cheesesteaks, and shout out to my son, J-Man's Affordable iPhone Repair. Listen, if you got a story or you think there's a good, positive story that needs to be told, whether it's a person, an organization, is it's positive and feel good, send me a message. Maybe that person's even you, and you've just got a story that you want to share. I want to talk about you and share you with the rest of the world or your organization or your event, whatever that might be. Only the positive stuff here. We don't do the negative very well around here. And thanks to all of you who give a reason to keep coming back and doing the show every week. This is episode 463. Pretty proud of never missing a week. And thanks to all of you who continue to show up here on the show with David Burrows. That's all the time I got for you this week. Have a great week and an even better weekend. I will see you next time right here on the show. Bye for now.